My name's Kurtis. Today is January 2nd, 2026, and it's my buddy Derek.
Hey.
Same time and day.
Yeah, my name's Derek Lowen. Friday, January 2nd, we are at an apartment in Osborne Village.
I've been planting trees since 2021, on and off, 6 seasons in 5 years.
So I've been in the silviculture industry, tree planting since 2015, I think, 2017. So I've been working on and off in that industry across Canada for, I think, 7 or 8 seasons now.
It's kind of a tough job. It's very physical.
You're being modest.
Good. Well, you're in the middle of nowhere, and there's bugs eating you, and maybe gonna be bears eating you if you're not lucky. That doesn't happen often, but it's something you got to think about. And you get paid per tree you plant, so that really just motivates you to just really push yourself to the limit. Try to plant as many trees as you can in a day, because then you're gonna make more money. So, and yeah, that's what I think keeps a lot of people going back to it. It's just like the better you get it, you can get better and better, and suddenly, before you know it, you're making way more money than you were.
The way that I've approached tree planting is, I think, for personal reasons, when I started doing the job, I probably would have done it for free, just because it's one of those jobs that fits my personality and fits my lifestyle. And it's nurturing, although it pushes you to your absolute limit. There's no demon that I haven't, had to talk to while I'm out, doing this manual labor job for 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day, 3 to 4 months a year. I think the work itself does a good job of kind of equating wage, just because, like, if we live in a society where, like, there's still a lot of wage disparity between men and women, especially, like, that still exists. Tree planting kind of equates all of it, because it doesn't matter, what your sort of intersectionality is, how you define yourself, your gender, your sexuality, any of these things. If you plant tons of trees, you make tons of money. It's like, it's a 1-for-1 thing. The work culture itself is, very progressive, and people are very well educated, but choose to pursue a job where you don't need the education. So it's very nuanced. It's a very niche industry. It's very deregulated, in my opinion. And I think there's a lot of work to be done to make it safer, to make wages better, and to sort of try to navigate a society that's kind of like hyper capitalist and hyper exploitative at the moment, if we sort of look at the world around us.
All right. So yeah, this happened when we were on a Manitoba contract, and the way it worked, so they had decided prior to the season, it was going to be 12 cents a tree across the board, regardless. So in planting, there's prepared land and unprepared land. Prepared land is when they go in with some sort of machine beforehand, and they just do stuff that will make it easier to plant. So generally, prepared land, you get less money per tree, but you can plant more trees in a day, so it balances out. And then with all the fires and stuff this year, a lot of the land we were supposed to plant, we couldn't anymore. So then we got moved into other stuff, a lot of more unprepared. So then there was a big disparity in like some crews. Like, I literally saw, I was generally, I think, luckier than most of the planters in this camp in terms of getting good land on that contract. Because yeah, some of it was like literally the best I've ever seen. Like,
I was not. Hence the disparity.
Yeah. And so, and then there's other days you're just like in the middle, you're just like getting whipped in the face with poplars and whatever, and it's like you're just struggling, and it's like, and then you come home at the end of the day, and it's like, this crew and this crew have had great days, and everyone else is just miserable because they're like, they didn't make nearly what they thought they would, and they're just like in this awful land. And so, and they always tell you, like, the bosses, they're like, they're going to balance it out, but it never works out that way. So this had been going on basically the whole contract, and it was coming near the end of it. And yeah, like every day there was people not happy. It was always the same thing. It's like, yeah, this land is shit. We should be getting more, money for this. And like, it's pretty common in the industry to adjust tree prices according to the land. Like, you don't always know ahead of time how it's going to be, but once you've been there for a while, it's like, and like, yeah, the staff is supposed to, kind of be keeping track of that, like if this land is priced fairly or not. And and I think like the staff did complain, but it didn't get the attention of the decision makers. So eventually it was like coming to the point I felt it was just like gone too far, and like I was like, just had to speak my mind on it. I felt so, and also I recognized the company was now like they were under pressure to get this contract done and start our next contract in Ontario. Like they had a different client and stuff, and they didn't want to keep pushing that back. So I realized we had an opportunity. Like, we have some power right now because they need us to finish the rest of this contract as soon as possible. So, so yeah, one day the thing that set me over the edge one morning was like, they're going to send some crews into fill blocks, which means this land has already been planted and you're finding the spots where trees didn't grow and like try and plant another one. So it's like way slower than a normal planting day often. And so the price should be like significantly better. And you should know that going in. But they're like, yeah, maybe we'll get you an extra cent. There was no confirm. And usually maybe means no. But it's just like giving me. So it was like, that was the thing that was like, okay, I need to do something about this. Like, so during that, so I just like went to work, and I was just like mad that whole day. And like in the first like the whole morning, I was just like planning hard, and I'm just in my mind, just like right, like
we were rage planting.
Yeah, I was rage,
nice.
but I was also like
rage planting rules.
I was like just like thinking about this speech over and over, and I like was planning for like 4 hours just thinking about this, and then I finished my piece, and I just sat down and spent like 45 minutes just typing it all out on my phone, and then once I had it all written down, I was like kind of able to make peace with it, finish the work day, whatever. And then that night at dinner time, like, so the whole camp, there's like 60 or so planters. We all sit together for dinner in a big mess tent. And so like, but yeah, so basically the whole camp's there. That's the one time a day everyone's together. So yeah. And so I finished eating stuff. I stood up on a chair. I was like, hey, can I have everybody's attention? And like, took a minute to get everyone's attention. And everyone's like, who the hell is this guy?
I was like, what the fuck is this guy doing? I don't think we
I didn't know Derek's name yet.
We talked maybe on the first day when we got held back from training, and we just got to sit around and just chat about our experiences and stuff.
I think that was actually the day I like was able to put your face to name kind of thing.
Memories are flooding back. Hell yeah, keep going. Sorry, dude.
No, it's okay. And yeah, so like I stood up on the chair, and then it's like I'm start reading off my speech, and I'm really not like a public speaking guy. I was like very nervous, and I'm like stuttering and stuff, and then I wish I knew who it was, because I'm like stuttering through the start of my speech, and I was like, sorry, I'm not really a speech guy. And then someone just like, woo, and like
let the circus begin.
And for some reason that just like gave me such like a boost of confidence, and like able to get through it. And I was really didn't know. I don't know how long my speech was, like a few minutes long, and I was just like pointing out, like everyone knew everyone was like not happy with the price, but I was like kind of pointing out because I have more experience than the average person in this camp, I would say. And like a lot of people who work in this camp have only worked in this camp. They don't know, they haven't, and I've planted for like 6 different companies
and other
in
countries.
3 different countries. So
yeah,
I'm just like, yeah. So I've like, I know a little bit more than a lot of these guys about just how the industry works.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like pointing out, like, you know, like they're supposed to adjust the price if it's not balanced, all this stuff. I don't know. I had a few more points. I don't know if we want to repeat the speech word for word, but yeah, I don't know. Basically, just trying to inspire these guys, and then so what I was trying to get out of this strike was I wanted retroactively because
that was smart.
Because it was too late to say like just adjust the price going forward because there's only a few days left on this contract.
Yeah.
So the important thing to me was retroactively increasing the price, everything that's already been done. So
it's a lot of moolah.
And so I suggested like let's not plant anymore until they agree to increase the price of all the unprepared land. So, and fucking everybody was like I thought there was going to be a split. I didn't know how seriously people were going to take me, but as soon as I like finished my speech, fucking jumped down from my chair, people were cheering and they loved it. And like we got a petition going around. Everyone in camp signed this petition. Like we're not working again until we get this price up. And then like let everyone finish dinner or whatever, and then like had a meeting, and then so we all agreed like there was a bit of a debate how much of price increase we wanted even.
Oh yeah, I think we were talking about 2, weren't we? And we were like, let's not be greedy now.
Yeah.
But why have 1 when you can have 2?
Yeah, exactly.
None of us had probably ever been in a workplace action before.
Yeah, no, it was new for everybody really. I'd never done anything like that before. And so yeah, there was talk like let's ask for 2, but I think also it was like we ended up just asking for 1 cent because I don't think anyone really actually wanted to sit out.
Yeah, that's a good point. Because
and so I think it was better just to like ask for something we know, and don't give them any wiggle room. Like if we ask for 2 cents, then maybe it turns into a negotiation.
Yeah.
And maybe it's gonna drag on. It's like if we just ask for 1 extra cent per tree, it's like, how can you say no to that? Like, so
we also kind of like our jobs. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of one of the odd things. Like most of us enjoy doing the work, and it's like not a terrible work environment. So it's like, why ask for 2 where we might get, screwed over, but 1 is safe, and then, we can still probably go to work tomorrow instead of having to have a standoff.
Yeah.
With our boss. Like, did you feel like that was kind of
I think
that was kind of just the vibe of the camp when we were hashing out?
I think generally, yeah.
Okay.
I feel like that was what. Well, I remember. Yeah, I think that was the thing. Because like, I remember specifically was like,
yeah,
if we ask for 2 cents, I'm not doing it, and I was like, fuck. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, well,
and this is in a mess tent with like 60 people in there, because remember you said, okay, everybody go chill for a minute, and then everybody who wants to participate or do this come back in an hour.
Yeah.
And I went to my van and I was thinking like, oh fuck, I've been doing this for 8 years. What am I gonna do here? I do want to work tomorrow. Am I gonna scab? And I was like, okay, let's calm down for a second, take some breaths, let's go back and see what happens. And I honestly thought like 10 people would show up. Just based on how rare this is to even have the notion of not going to work and having like workers' power. And I was kind of last to rock up because my van's so far away from the mess tent at that camp. And I kind of opened the tent. The whole camp's there, like everybody from dinner, not a single person, For the story's effect, obviously, there might have been a couple people missing, but like especially all the 5, 6, 7, 8-year vets were there. And those are the people who like, in that position, like we have a good thing. Like the way that, we make good money for the year. It's like if you start tampering with these things, like it could unravel sort of like the life hack that we have with this job. However, if there's a chance of making things better, where you're so right that in that situation, like it was so unanimous in the camp that everybody knew that this janked out stuff was happening. And I was complaining about it because I complain a lot, but I wasn't doing anything about it. So it was perfect because we're all talking about it every night after work. We're like, yo, you made $600. I made $250. Like, just or 300 or something. You're making half the amount, but you're working the same. You might have the same even experience as the person who's making twice as much as you do.
And you maybe push yourself just as hard that day.
Exactly. And that's where the bidding of the contract is going to make a big difference to try to not have such a wage disparity between two people at the end of the day, or one crew and another crew. So we all knew it was happening. It just took one person to be able to actually have the guts to stand up and say like, yo, this is wrong. I wrote this speech. Listen to it. We got to fix this.
Yeah. Because it's not like I was.
And spoiler alert, it worked out. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, it's okay. But that's the thing. It's like I wasn't really saying anything people didn't already think. It was just like I was just like speaking the shit that I'd been hearing from everybody for weeks. It's like
what inspired you to do it? Was there like a moment when you were in the land that day where you were like,
it was
had you already made that decision when you went into work that day that you were gonna do that?
It was that morning.
Yeah.
Like before going to work.
Okay.
But it was the fill block. It was like, maybe we'll get you an extra cent for the fill block.
Yeah.
That sentence is like, I mean, maybe. Fuck you.
Yeah, the maybes are not great. That happens a lot where it's like, maybe you're gonna make, because if it's piecework, like that is one of the problems that I find, is that like when you're going into a day of work, especially when we've been doing this, we're kind of do this for a career more or less. You kind of need to know how much you're gonna make per day, because you can control a lot of your wage. Like, am I gonna bust my ass today to really like stack a paycheck, like a bi-weekly paycheck, or am I going to rest the body a little bit today because I'm doing like a 70, 80 day, 90-day season maybe. So it's important to know how much you're making when you go into a job. Like, that's a labor thing. Like, you should know if it's piecework and you're paid per tree or per acorn or per pine cone, or if you're doing piecework like that, you should know before you even put a tree in the ground how much you're going to make. And that didn't happen. That wasn't happening this season. And that's that's something that typically in other provinces that it's known.
Yeah.
Like, because you worked in,
I've done one
like
one
West
season in BC.
Yeah.
And there it was just like,
you knew
it was just normal. It was like the price was adjusting all the time. It was like,
and you were aware of how it was adjusting.
But you knew going in for like, it's okay, this is the starting price, and then you'd find out later, actually it was 2 cents more than that. I was like, okay, nice.
Yeah.
And that's just like, that was just normal. It's like,
and that's important for a career planter, I think. Just so that you can figure out how you're going to manage your day, how you're going to manage your week, how you're going to manage your season. And just to jump on one more point that you're making from the beginning of the story, is that when you work in other places, there's a certain camp structure where it's really relevant for your supervisor to ask the project manager for a price bump. So if you are having a really rough day in the block or the piece of land that you're working in, usually it's kind of like a say less thing. There's trust between your supervisor and the project manager, who's like kind of the ultimate supervisor. But then there's also a relationship between the project manager and the regional manager. For the contract that we were doing, it seemed like you had to go all the way to the regional manager, which we ended up doing ourselves. Realistically, there should have been that chain of command so that the supervisor could give us the extra cent that day, like our crew supervisor, without having to ask the project manager, without having to ask the regional manager. It was just, there's a trust there that we need an extra cent so that we don't totally have a bunk start to the season and a bunk contract. But there was that communication. I didn't feel like that was there. Like, did it feel like that for you?
No, yeah, it didn't seem like it was getting through to them.
It seemed like nothing was going to change, even though we all were aware that this was a big problem in the camp.
No, yeah.
The single biggest problem of that Manitoba contract at the start of the season.
Yeah, for sure. And that's it. And like, yeah, it's just, it seems like things like that. It's like, even if like they're aware with it, maybe they're not aware it's that bad. People are that unhappy about it, but it's always like stuff gets pushed off, and then by the time, and then it's over, and it's like too late to do anything about it.
Yeah.
Um,
It could be even like a human resources problem where a lot
yeah,
of people who find themselves in management positions in this industry don't have management training. It's a lot of the time you're sort of you're prepared to move on to the next thing, but you never do technical training on how to manage people, how to communicate in a company, these
yeah,
things that you would learn in business school or these things that you would learn they're just kind of like in your training's inherited from the next person. So it's, you know, can be a little crazy.
yeah.
We
Forget.
so we decided on one
Oh,
cent.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, we agreed on the 1 cent, and that's all we were gonna ask for. And then
Mm-hmm.
that was the point I wanted to, I was like stingy on too. Is like, we need this in writing. We're not accepting any verbal agreements. So
Yeah.
that's what like made it drag on. Like I had to stay up a little bit late that night just to like make sure it actually happened. But like, because
Yeah, how was that process? Because that's where I dipped. Because like
oh yeah,
you did all the work. Like I'm surprised that it all happened as quickly. Because I wasn't organizing anything, so I went to sleep. And then I was
yeah,
like, when I wake up, like then I'm gonna have to make the choice. Because if there's pushback or it's like go on strike, then
yeah,
which it probably wasn't gonna be that just based on like maybe like what were the factors? You already explained them, but like maybe like a little more depth about like what were the power dynamics at play there that made you decide that it was kind of like the perfect time to do this thing? Because I think that's important too. You couldn't have picked a better time
yeah.
to do a
Well,
workplace action. They needed us the most at that point.
yeah. Well, I think it was because they had just sent the email about the Ontario start date.
Yeah. Really, that's
Like
a good
it had
point.
already been pushed back, and they're like, okay, we're for sure starting on this day.
So we need to be out of
Yeah,
Manitoba.
and I
We
was
need
like,
to drive 8 hours into Ontario. It's like,
so,
oh,
so
really?
yeah. So it's like, okay, so like they really can't afford for us to be missing
Yep.
any days. So it's like, now is the time if this is gonna happen.
Yeah, that was smart. Very strategic.
And then like, yeah. Then the other thing, like initially, he's like comes in and he's like, you got the scent. And I'm like, okay, that's great, but I I can't just take your word on that. So so
He was very much like, I love that guy. He's very much in between two worlds,
yeah,
because
he was.
kind of like I am too, because I still have interaction with this company, so it's like they're not evil. It's just like
Yeah,
it's things. In my opinion, this is like how I've been framing it: is that like things fall through the cracks. Like, I don't think they're actively trying to exploit us that much. It's a structural thing,
yeah,
you
no,
know.
it's more negligence than
Yeah,
maliciousness.
exactly. I think that's a really good point to like kind of frame. That's how I've been kind of framing the how I even like think about
Yeah,
how that whole process went.
yeah, but yeah,
But the conversations, like it was just everybody was kind of it was circus like, man. Like everybody was kind of shouting, and then this person who's kind of like representing the company, but also the workers' interest too comes in. He's like, yeah, you guys got the extra cent. It's like, oh, but we need it from the person who's actually going to give us the cent.
yeah.
Like, so you sent an
So
email
then,
to RM, to
um,
regional manager.
I didn't send the email. I think, excuse me. I think once we had made the agreement, like we want to send everyone's names on the fucking, uh,
Yep, we signed the paper
yeah. I forgot the word for
petition.
petition.
Yeah, you got it.
Everyone signed the petition. We all agreed we want an extra cent, or we're not working. Um, and then yeah, it actually only took like an hour of like after everyone had made that agreement, and I think I'm guessing it was Dan sent the email.
Oh, okay.
Um, and then yeah, hour later, email sent out. Yeah, you pay the extra cent, and yeah, went back to work the next day.
Job done.
And so,
But the implication.
and yeah, that's the thing. It's like it was maybe not that big of like, for me. It was like, I think at the time, if I remember correctly, at the time it was like, it made me like an extra couple $100.
Yeah.
For some people it's probably a little bit more, some people a little bit less.
Mhm.
So it's not like we really did anything like life changing, but it's like we all make a little bit extra money, but I think that's the thing. It's like, who knows what that'll lead to, it remains to be seen, like how much of like a cultural shift that will be in the company, and something I'm probably not going to see. I don't intend to go back um, to them.
Yeah.
But
There's some wiggle room there.
But
just like, and then I just think that it was such a success, and it was such a quick success, that it leaves open the door that, and what's interesting is that we didn't strike again that season, where like we had the power, we had shown that we could.
Well, I'm curious,
but nothing
if that impacted
the rest
on
of
that, because that on the last contract we did.
Yeah.
Remember, like we showed up and it was like really shit land, and it was supposed to be the same price, but then like it was like suddenly we had like it went up to like 18 cents.
Was that when I was?
That was when you were on my crew.
Oh, and I was driving for that.
Yeah.
One. Oh yeah, I remember we got spiked. Yeah, we got our price spiked on that contract because it was atrocious working conditions. Like not in that sense, just in like the land was tough. We were gonna make less than kind of our average for the season type thing, and we got some big price bumps.
I don't know if it's related or not, but I'm curious if that was related, how we got that price bump.
Yeah.
On that contract so quickly was like, we don't want them to strike again.
Well, in Ontario,
I feel like maybe it was like preemptive, like
in the context of my seasons,
but I don't know for sure. Maybe they would have anyway.
Based on my experience in Ontario, it's never happened like that where we didn't have to ask, where it was just granted, where you're like, oh crap, we're getting an extra 5-6 cents per tree or however much it was. So you could speculate on it. I would follow that. Yeah, I mean, who knows what happens behind closed doors, just because like that is kind of like a PM, project manager, regional manager sort of thing with the bidding stuff like that. But I don't know. Yeah, probably. I would think so. So we made change.
Okay, so after we got the price, the extra cent bump, so he emails it to everybody. But the way, just their way of like, the corporate tone that they like to talk to us in, like just like really got on my nerve. And he's like basically like, yeah, I heard it was bad. I didn't know it was that bad. Sorry. I'm not a bad guy. That's not exactly what he said, but that was the tone.
Yeah, I read that email.
That's what I was getting out of it.
And that's why I decided to completely remove myself from reading any further emails, because I saw the thunder on the horizon. And
so he's like basically,
I'll let people tell me about it.
He's like, this, the staff told me people weren't happy, but I didn't know it was that bad, whatever. And and so basically in response to that email, I was just like nitpicking all those little points like that were like contradictory, and it's like, oh, if your staff that's thanks for the price bump, but maybe next time the staff tells you about this shit, like listen to them instead of waiting for us to make you listen to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
And then and then on top of that, there's other stuff like, excuse me, another issue I was unhappy about was like the shower situation, but that was like, not enough hot water for everybody. But that was like, and I wanted to make that part of the strike, but that's something less people care about than money. Like the amount of money people make, everyone wants to get on board with that.
We can shower in cash, dude. We don't need to be hygienic.
The living situation is like different personal preferences. Some people really don't care about that, so I like didn't have everyone's support on that, so kind of let that go for the strike. But I was like, after the strike was successful, I was like on top of the world. I was like, I can do whatever I want. I can say whatever I want. Everyone's got my back. I just made everyone a bunch of money, so I can say whatever I want to the corporate. They're not gonna fire me. People will go insane if they fire me. So I was just like really like, yeah, I was really grilling into him in emails, trying to get like just like see whatever else we could get from him
and get your point across.
Yeah,
because like it's not okay that we in a good world or a good work environment, we don't have to do work action.
Yeah,
You know,
no.
like it's a last case resort, especially when like none of us are super unhappy with the job. Like we choose to go do it every year among any other job that you could do.
Yeah. Yeah, we just want to be,
Taken care of.
yeah, treated fairly.
Yeah, treated fairly is even
Yeah.
better than taken care of. Like bare minimum, man.
Yeah. Um, so then this went on for a while, and eventually he came to camp and brought us another hot water tank,
Mhm.
which turned out to be broken.
Mm-hmm.
But it appeased us for the moment.
It's the thought that counts. Like that bad gift that you get on Christmas. It's the thought that counts, man. Broken water heater is better than no water heater.
But he was also like trying to convince us, oh, this company does not actually have that much money.
Oh yeah. Because I asked him, because being the astute university graduate that I am, I was like, where do I find out? Like, is there any financial transparency in this company? And then from word through the grapevine is that like we're not publicly traded, so they don't have to, realistically. But I mean, every company should have their financial data open for their employees. That's just like, again, bare minimum. Like if you have nothing to hide, then just show us how much, where your portfolio is, or what your portfolio is, how much you spend in each province with these bids, specifically the bid contracts, so that I can see them and I can make my own my own objective assessment of, am I getting absolutely exploited or only a little bit exploited?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I asked, and yeah, the ethos of the company is that, and I've heard this many times in the 5, 6, 7 years that I've worked for them, is that we don't make that much money. Okay, that's cool. I'll take your word for it. It's like, no, just let me see it so I can make the. I don't. I'm not. That's a word that I don't trust.
Yeah.
And I like these people. That's the thing too. Like the regional manager who came to speak with us, I like him as a person. Like he's a good manager. He's a homie. I call him a homie.
Yeah.
And so it's not like he's even evil or any of these people are evil. It's like, in my opinion, it's structural stuff. So we can start nipping it in the bud now, then we don't just like continue to get exploited more and more every year. And the fact that he came and like rapped with us, like Mr. Sims style, he's our high school teacher. Like just he was real. He was, or like even the fact that he came to debrief with us and say, what he said, and being honest that like, shit slides downhill and uphill, because he was honest and transparent with us in that way, at least, that he didn't ask the CFO or CEO of the company whether he could give us that extra cent. He did it without asking anybody, and that was a no.
Yeah.
Because
he
got in a ton of trouble from I don't know if they're the CEO or CFO. I don't know how that structure works, but the head of the company obviously went in and said, "What are you doing?" Because he told us this. He was like, I got in trouble from my, superior officer that, I should have asked them before I gave you that cent. And in the context that I remember him saying that he was like driving 8 hours, because like the regional manager job for these tree planting companies is insane. Yeah, you barely have service. You're driving between like freaking Thunder Bay and Kenora or something, in and out of service, exhausted probably. Like I do get where he's coming from too. And the fact that he was honest with us, I think, is a really good sign. But I still don't take your word that our company doesn't make that much money. Like, that it makes me squirm to even like hear that, or to think about hearing that.
Because we're like, if your lowest level employees are making pretty decent money, surely our bosses are making.
Yeah, and then if they're not, then like the amount of
what are we doing here, guys?
The amount of responsibility that you have versus I just have to get dressed in the morning and not show up to work hammered. My life rules. But yeah, what did anything else go on in that? Because that was like mid-season, so like that everybody was probably so burnt out by then.
Yeah.
When he came to chat with us, what else happened in that convo? I don't remember.
I don't remember much else.
Yeah, that was the kind of essential oils. Was that like,
well, except Except at the end of that meeting, he dropped, by the way, the trees are frozen.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. The frozen tree fiasco. Mic drop
Which
moment.
was just fucking hilarious.
Frozen trees, no bueno in the industry. No matter how soft the ground is, if you got frozen trees, it's a problem. Really messes up. You probably make if you have to wait a couple hours for them to thaw in the morning, or you have to sift through bundles.
Together, so
you probably make $50 to $100 less a day.
Easy,
maybe 50.
Yeah. Depending how frozen
we're
talking. But yeah, that was just funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Do we miss anything?
I mean, if anything pops into my head, what do you think? What are like, thinking about the workplace action and the thought of doing it again? What are the major factors? Like, what sets the alarm off? You think going forward to like, hey, we need to stand up for this?
I feel like that's like a really like case by case basis kind of thing. For me, it was just like I felt at the time, it was like, I felt like a lot of times in my life I haven't spoken up necessarily about what I think is right, and I just felt like it was just happening at the right. It was just the right time. It was like, you know what, it's time to fucking say something for once, so I think it's just like more of a feeling than anything. It's like when you're in a situation, I don't know. I don't want to say like it'll take this exact thing for me to do it again. It's more just like if I feel I need to do something, then I'll do it.
That's good advice. Yeah. That's huge. So if somebody were to, if their BS meter went off at their work camp, what would you say to them if they asked you, what should I do, Kurtis? I think this is fucked up, man.
Yeah. I mean, I think it would depends on a case, like I guess how much do you care? Like you got to be willing, because I was willing to lose my job over this.
I was too.
And like you got to be willing, you got to care enough. Is this issue important enough to you to do that?
Yeah.
Is the biggest thing, because I didn't know how people would respond. Mm-hmm. But I also like have the privilege, like, so like it's not like I can just go find work at another company. Like
that's exactly what I was thinking.
So it's not like I'm taking this like massive risk. It's like it would have been inconvenient to get fired, but I wasn't like really like risking my livelihood over it or anything. It's just like, but
that's huge though, dude, because you stood up for people who don't have those options.
Yeah.
Because when we were talking about the 1 cent, 2 cent thing, just because like I have a ton of experience and like I've worked in that camp for a while, and I guess maybe people look up to me, which is weird, but like in that way that like when somebody was asking me, what would you do? I think like somebody asked me like, what are you going to do? And I said, I'll wait for 2 days and then I'm going to Alberta, right. Or like, I'm going to stand off. I kind of was thinking like, I won't go to work tomorrow, but I got max 2 days that I can lose this season. Cause I need to pay bills, unfortunately. But you made a choice, because you could have done that too. You could have done what I did and just see what happens and then peace out. But the fact that you stood up, you did something that helped the people who didn't know that those other options existed, because a lot of the younger planters,
right? Yeah. Well, and those options are not available to everybody. I say,
which is huge,
because I've done, it was my 6th season, so it's like, and in the planting industry, once you have like a decent level of experience, then it becomes fairly easy to jump contract to contract. But for these like younger, newer planters, like not everyone's looking to hire a rookie or second year planter. So like not everyone had that option to fall back on necessarily as easily.
I think that's a huge point. I think that's like one of the most important points that you made so far. Like just that, or even just acknowledging that you did it for other people too. It wasn't just for you did it for the good of the camp and for the good of the workers. No, yeah.
It just felt beautiful. Like the right thing to do. It wasn't so much about myself.
Yeah. Really.
And like as I said, like I was getting pretty good land most of the time. I was like, but it was just like, I just felt like this situation's not right, and I should say something about it.
And I think that for anyone who lived through that, even if you had made a comment earlier, like maybe this won't affect this company, who knows, kind of thing. It doesn't really matter necessarily. I think it will, but all of those 60 people lived through a successful job action,
Right.
and all those people will go to different companies with that living memory.
Yeah.
And it's not a guarantee that every other job action that may take place that is a little bit informed by this. It's not to say that every one will necessarily be a success, but for the rest of all of these 60 people, all of their lives, they'll remember that this actually worked, and they'll think about the strategy that was involved. That it was like you had the company over a barrel, and you had them at when they were vulnerable, and now people can analyze their next workplaces for those types of strategies.
Right.
And it really does a lot to cut through like the propaganda that like the business community, which is really well resourced, they want people to feel like they're tiny and they have no power.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But you guys
Which we do
showed-
often.
Yeah,
We're
everyone
vulnerable.
feels like
We're a vulnerable.
But
We're in a vulnerable job.
but you guys showed
but when you
that
stick
you
together,
come together,
you do
and
have power.
you have power. So it really matters.
I'm getting chills, bud.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it really matters. This is what we like as a union organizers. What I'm up against is people feeling disempowered, people feeling like it's not possible. Like we organized at the University of Winnipeg, all the janitors got on board, and we had a strike vote, and there was like 90% who voted yes to striking.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got a $1 per hour pay increase and health and dental benefits and different things like that. And prior to that, everyone who I talked to at the UW was like, "Oh, they're genders. Like, it's a tough industry. There's no way you're going to be able to get a pay increase."
Right.
And then it seems like, obviously, everyone afterwards, like, obviously, like they weren't paid enough. It's like retrospect, like hindsight's 2020.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, it seems like it was always going to work.
Yeah.
But you guys did something to make it happen. That is actually so important. Like it seems easy because it worked.
Right.
But there was no guarantee that would have worked. And I
Yeah.
really do think that the 18 cents or whatever it was that you were getting after, and you're thinking that might have had to do because of the strike, I really think you're onto that. Like I actually, obviously there's no way of proving it. But the same company, like in a short time period, all of a sudden becomes super benevolent and wants to pay you more.
Yeah.
That doesn't have to do with the fact that almost all of their work.
I've never seen a pay increase like that in 7 years of working where where it just spiked,
Yeah, it was
and also,
big spike.
Like going back, that could depend on the regional manager too, who I should add, like, just to give him his props too, he fought to get us higher prices in Ontario. Our prices were frozen for so many years. It's never really been adjusted that well for inflation on this bid, but like I stopped working in Ontario for about 3 or 4 seasons, and I went back and the prices were like 15, I guess maybe 4 to 5 cents more. And that was because of that regional manager. So he's if he ever sees this, he's going to be like, yeah, like I want higher prices for you too. Who knows how his hands are tied by his company or by our company,
And also his experience of that strike from the other end may have also motivated him to make sure that those things happen, because who knows behind closed doors the type of pressure he felt to not let that happen again.
Yeah,
because I'm sure there is, like, he does care, but I also think that like the job action may have provided that motivation that they needed from the management side to really implement these pay increases.
Yeah, one of the benefits of tree planting is that everybody in our company has planted trees at one point. There's not a single person, maybe 1 or 2 people in like other facets of the company, but everybody who is in these supervisor roles was exactly where we were at one point. People change over time.
Yeah, it seems like they forget that sometimes.
Yeah, of course they do, because they sit in an office, dude. But definitely, I've seen that regional manager hike a couple boxes up a mountain at one point, like we're all pretty badass anyways. Yeah. So a lot of it comes from love, but I mean, you do also need to stand up for yourself too. There's a lot of it. What do you think the benefits would be of, just from what you know kind of contextually about planting from chatting with us, what options would be available if we unionized? Like, what do you think that looks like?
I don't know. That'd be really interesting. There's a really cool book, In Dubious Battle, by John Steinbeck.
Okay.
It's about planters. Harvesters, like pickers.
In California?
Yeah, I think it was in California.
Yeah, he wrote a ton of stuff. I read Ace
Yeah.
of Eden in
Yeah.
Weensy's
Yeah,
class
yeah.
to burst my bubble a little bit.
So I think it would be good. And people always say like, well, the work is really disorganized and chaotic and like
Mhm.
flexible, and that's part of what we like about it. So how would we unionize that? But like any job can become more organized and like better for workers. Like there's another book, The Jungle by Upton Sinclair, and it was about like meat packing and how like that was super fucking crazy in like the 30s or whatever.
Yeah.
And after that sector unionized, they became better jobs, more organized, like less insane, more predictable for the workers.
Right.
So
And nobody lost their jobs more or less when they tried to unionize, or were there a couple
people might have been
casualties?
killed. I don't know.
Okay, fuck yeah, okay.
You know, like people that the labor movement is a bloody one. Like the history of the labor movement is bloody.
Yeah.
It's more like regulated now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but you know, at a certain time. But the point is just that like just because it's tree planting and maybe it's like seen as more flexible or whatever doesn't mean that it would be any harder to unionize than like something that's seen as less disorganized, like an office job or something.
There's a massive fear of organizing unions, I find. Even myself, like, even though I know that unionizing is probably the best option to create safer work environments and better pay, the thought of losing a good thing when you already have it is definitely like a fear that I think a lot of the older planters, and like I'm not even like an old planter, you know, like there's people who've been doing this for 20, 30 years who are paying mortgages with their planting wage. The risk of there is an associated risk with unionizing, I imagine.
It would need to probably it would be great if any unionizing attempt would be like one that had a good strategy.
Yeah.
So
We're most of us aren't super
well,
good at logistics.
you don't necessarily have to be the ones to lead that or have that strategy, because there would hopefully be a union that could assist with that.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
like with my union, we're really well established in Ontario and British Columbia,
Mm-hmm.
and now we're coming here. So we have resources from dues paying members in other provinces that are funding the organizing here. And that's part of our strategy because it's mostly a janitor's union. And we're dealing with, you know, the 10 or 15 same cleaning contractors that are prevalent in Canada and the United States.
Hmm.
So we have like 10,000 janitors in Canada, and I don't know how many thousand in the United States, like probably more. And if you have like 40 workers at the UW who work for B Clean and they threaten to go out on strike, okay, that's powerful. It is powerful. But if you have 10,000 janitors who all work for B Clean who threaten to go on strike across North America, that's super fucking
that's
powerful.
huge.
And that's our strategy. That's what we're trying to build.
Right.
That's
so that it can lead to a general strike at some point, being like the ultimate sort of, because I mean that look at what it did in 1919. It stopped the city. It's historical. It's one of the most historical events in Winnipeg's history.
And it didn't ultimately succeed.
No.
But general strikes in other countries like France, Italy, Spain did. So it's kind of like, I think a general strike or, you know, large strikes it's a solution to issues like poverty and exploitation that come with living in a capitalist system that we live with globally.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, fixing a boat, if or a tire, like you get a puncture on your tube and you put a patch on it, it doesn't work. Well, the answer is to just try another patch. Right. So the strike here didn't work, but that doesn't mean it wasn't the right thing to try. And like people have kind of like gotten confused about striking and think like, oh, maybe we try politics, maybe we try something else.
Yeah.
But for people like me who believe in the labor movement, we're trying to build back to having big strikes again. And this is actually something that's becoming more mainstream within the labor movement in the last 10 years or so.
Because your power is your labor. Withholding work is possibly, you know, the single most powerful.
Yeah. If you guys would have tried to get a lawyer to...
There's probably a couple who plant, man. They tried to lawyer them and we're like, no, I'm going to tree plant instead. We got lawyers.
But if you as a group were like, what's our way of getting a cent more per tree? And someone said, let's go into politics. Someone said, let's get a lawyer to do it. Someone said, let's make a boycott campaign. Someone said, let's try to buy a billboard ad. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, those are all strategies, but not going to work is the one that actually works and has always worked historically for like hundreds of years.
Yeah.
And the last few decades, people have lost sight of that. But in terms of a union, like, I don't know the industry, like you guys know it way better than I do.
Yeah.
And I don't know if there would be a union that would be appropriate, like maybe like firefighters.
Force. I don't know if loggers are unionized, but it seems like even just the strategy of, you know, we're vulnerable as workers because we work in an isolated 60-person camp, but our employers are vulnerable too because they can't just swing 60 workers in. They can't just sling 60 workers in to do our job. So that's where like the conditions, you know, when you think about the context of how that labor action went, like the conditions were perfect because we needed to get that work done. There's no way the company could afford to have a strike for 3 or 4 days. Like we really do hold the power more than other industries do because we're so niche and because we're so vulnerable and because we're so isolated. So
because it's basically giving you anti-scab protection.
That's a good point. Yeah.
That's what
really
you're
good
saying.
point.
Basically, what you're saying is they can't swing other workers in.
No, and they wouldn't.
So that gives you more power and gives the employer less power.
Yeah.
And that can lead to just empowering yourselves. And even it's like, yeah, it's health and safety or hygiene, or like there's other things that unions can advocate for. And like a union, like it's seen as sort of like a formal thing, but a union is just like 2 or more workers advocating for improvements at their job.
Right on.
So you guys formed an unofficial union when you did that.
Right.
And you got pay increases and you got better hygiene, like
and we got a broken water tank.
You know, like we saw some movement from that.
Yeah.